Welcome to today's collective reading. We'll just begin with doing some clearing here. As you can see, I already pulled some cards and I had begun thinking I had, was recording, but I didn't realize that I was not. But this message definitely is something that, is coming through in the meditation leading into this reading. So this highlights not necessarily the unmasking of someone or something, some external force outside of yourself. It can be, yes, but this definitely plays off of yesterday's reading. For anyone that this particular message resonates for, I encourage you to check that out. There may be something in there for you. A normal human reaction to feeling vulnerable or insecure or unsafe or to be fearing being rejected, or even observing this happening to someone you care about in your vicinity, is to galvanize force behind anger to create safety, to move whatever is causing this feeling, this vulnerability, away from you. Very normal. Very normal. So the question is, how do you act out contradictory to what you're actually feeling? And is that truly how you want to move? Because whoever you're communicating that with is going to be very confused. So you feel vulnerable. You feel a little scared. You feel a little unsure. You feel like you might be might get rejected. So instead of owning that sadness or that feeling of loneliness and just kind of sitting with it and observing it, you get angry and you push it away. So they think you want nothing to do with them for whatever reason. They don't understand what they did, but they think that you don't want them near for whatever reason. This could be a work situation too. This could be like you and your boss, or your boss and you're just very confused. Possibly even you and a customer or a client. And how that creates a bit of chaos for everyone. So the first card is the full moon in Leo. Go wild. So this reaction, this need to protect yourself, is very strong. It's very strong, and it's very swift and efficient. It lets the whole jungle know right where the king is. And there's a time and there's a place, because he protects his pride. He protects those that he claims are his. I'm going to say the gender label here is because this is a lion. It's not a lioness, but do feel free to invert the gender labels, because in these readings, there's no gender really. I will possibly use a gender based upon the image, but it's all energy. And then we moved into first quarter moon in Capricorn, leaving the past behind. And in this last reading, this card came out too. So there's a stubbornness. It's hard to leave your orbiting moon, your past, behind. It kind of rotates around you. It's got its own gravitational pull. So how do you work with that? Because your past is a part of you, but how much does it control where you go and how you move? There's a studying of that, an observation of that in this card, because to move into your future, even into your now, you have to be willing to leave the past in the past. And that's where this pivotal moment came out. And I think you'll understand why it was so important here to make sure you guys hear this, is that there is a balancing going on within you here. This is something that this image, this person, could be attempting to do right on the water, which is a symbol of emotion. Now, if you're in the midst of being defensive, protective mode, angry, those waters are going to be rapids. They're going to be angry waters. They're going to be chaotic, and you're going to feel like you have no way to possibly direct where you're going. you're going literally with the flow because you have no choice. So how do you be balanced in that? It feels like a contradiction. Like, how the am I supposed to do this, right? So, I mean, even if she were to move over here and try to balance on this little sandbar, the ground would move underneath her, which makes it seem like you must completely remove yourself from your emotions to be able to be on land. And that's not true, because the emotions are a part of you. In this image, unlike these two, there's a body of water, which makes sense because this is a Scorpio card. So this is a water element card. So the emotions are a part of it. The challenge is, how do you ground yourself? How do you put your foot on firm ground and still be with the emotion? And that is achieved by observing the emotion. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm angry. Oh, wait, I'm angry because I feel this vulnerability, or I feel sad, or I feel lonely. Wow, I feel that. Okay. I'm going to accept that I feel that. I'm not saying I'm okay with it. I'm saying that it is what I'm feeling, and I accept that that is what I'm feeling. Now, because you've done that, you're observing what you're feeling, which moves you into a state of being able to change how you feel. Because in the observing, you're gaining a firmer footing. You're learning, you're studying, you're calming those waters just by accepting that, yeah, I feel vulnerable. Yeah, I feel sad. And as you observe, you learn. And those waters become far less angry and, whitewater rapid vibe. They become a lot less that. Now, your past is always going to be a part of you. This gravitational pull, this moon, it will always be there. What I see this changing, because we all have a past. This water will become water in time. It'll become water that has still waters that run deep. There's a lot that you could tap into if you choose to go deeper. But the surface level is calm because you have taken the time to observe and learn, and thus be able to choose where the water flows instead of having no way to direct where you're going because it's taking you there whether you want to go or not. And this takes time. This takes time. Like, there's people that it takes lifetimes to master this, to learn this. So don't be hard on yourself if you're not, successful the first time, or if you don't notice a huge change in the first moment. The fact that you're trying is huge. The fact that you're aware of this is huge. It's the accepting that there's that phrase, accepting that there's a problem, allows you to gain control over that, allows you to change it. I've had people come to me, like, even in my own personal life, or even me going to, someone that I trusted with an issue. And they're like, the very fact that you fear this means that it will not become your truth. It won't become your reality because you already know you don't want that. So in that observing, you learn about all these different aspects that calm your waters because you decide. The water doesn't decide. You consciously choose, the emotion does not. And then this beautiful card that came out, and it's so sassy, isn't it? So sassy. So it is kind of fitting that Leo bookends Leo. So it's the invitation that when you're doing that observation, when you're accepting that, yeah, I feel angry because I feel sad, because I'm concerned that I'll be rejected, or, whatnot. And, it could be, like I said, with anybody you encounter. You can observe this reaction within you to varying degrees. when you're making those observations, to kind of be like, oh, that's interesting. That kind of surprised me. That's different. And even just being aware of it, you're already changing it. You're already deciding if it's something you want to experience anymore. And your mind will adjust to that. Like the neural pathways that you use frequently, your neural pathways keep those around. Your brain keeps those around. But the less you use a certain neural pathway, the more likely it is to not become something that you think repetitively over and over again. So by having the thought in reaction to being angry that, oh, that's interesting that I had that reaction here with this. I'm just like, somebody dropped something in front of me and I picked it up and they were kind of rude and didn't say thank you. And I had the same kind of feeling that I had years ago with something far more intense. And to kind of like giggle at it, laugh at it a little bit, it takes that negative punch right out of it. And your brain is paying attention to that. You're creating new neural pathways when you choose to find the humor in it, to see the funny if you can, because laughter is a profoundly healing thing. So I'm going to let you guys see some of the cards that we pull here. Now, I've been kind of guided to just free pull here, so I'm going to just see what comes out, guys. I'm going to be pulling a lot, and it's going to be more about a conversation and less about placement. All right, so the Four of Pentacles. You're not so guarding of your resources. You're aware that you're being triggered because you're letting yourself be triggered. You are not in this place because you don't want to be. You're aware that you're healing. You're opening yourself to being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. Sharing yourself with the world, knowing that you're still in the game. You're still there. You're still part of everything. You still got your spunk. Maybe you were in hermit mode for a time while you were getting to this spot. And even if you're not well known in the physical world, like maybe you're not a celebrity, in the spirit world, you have spirit world, like guardians, guides, ancestors, definitely your ancestors. Like they're with you. They're watching you. They're helping you with these things because these are things that they didn't get a chance to really master in their life, and they want you to be able to master them so that they can know how to get there themselves when they incarnate next. Now that tells me that you've done as much as you can cleansing solo. It's time to kind of contribute. All right, what's this about here? I want a little bit more on that one. What's this Five of Cups reversed about? Ooh, okay. You got a couple there. Oh, it's about okay. So this is about foundational monetary abundance, ability to provide an environment that is safe for this kind of relaxation to be something that can be had without worrying about money. So that there could be more smiles and laughter and, hey, we can have a dog because we have an abundance. We have enough food. We can have a dog. And this balance movement forward, yeah, there's been enough cleansing. This is time for, there's a balanced, rapid movement towards this because there's been that cleansing. So this is your past. You've cleansed that past. You've done as much as you can on your own. You're needing to have this triggering to be able to continue to move forward. It's moving towards that Nine of Cups. You have let that past burn. You're ready to move into what is new, what is happiness. And you are being guided. You see, I think this card's so cool. There's just this little bit of a hint, just a little bit of a hint of maybe a dolphin or something in there. You're not alone as you make this decision. You're being helped. Things that you would maybe not necessarily know, you're getting help to understand them. And that's allowing you to be balanced. Look at that. Look at that. It's allowing you to be balanced as you move towards that Nine of Cups. This can also definitely be a role reversal. This could be something that's being mirrored back to you. So however it resonates. And if it doesn't, then, take what does and leave what doesn't. Right. So about this balanced offer and this moving towards, ooh, oh, yep, okay. So, Ace of Cups, oh, just an overwhelming amount of emotion. No wonder why you feel like those waters are just so intense. But whatever you're moving towards, you trust to be stable enough to help you have a firm footing when you begin that process of calming those waters. When you begin that work, you can trust them to not radically change on you. And this tells me that what once was planned is now in motion. So on some level, be it ancestors, guardians or guides, angels, that this is part of the plan, that everything is orchestrated and supported. All right. Let's just get a couple. Let's do a summary for anything more that the collective might need to know here. Just summarizing it. If there's anything more that the divine, the universe would like to. Oh, I have it upside down. My bad. Okay, ideation. Interesting. This brings to mind, there's a card in here, and I think it's called frustration. You can't fit a square into a peg hole. Well, if the square is smaller, you can. So there's an idea here. This is a making it work, figuring out how to make it work. Okay. You found that way to get towards your happiness, the rainbow, the balance. Also, it could be the doorway into knowing self. Knowing that the sun's on the other side, which, is kind of coming back to that Eight of Cups there. Oop. Oh, look at that. Frustration came out. That's awesome. Look at that, right? And like how it pairs. So you stopped trying to make what doesn't work, and you found a way to be creative. You brainstormed, you had some ideas on how to get there. So what do we need to know about this frustration? The frustration could be the rapids, the waters, the frustration of just being overwhelmed by all of it, even though you know this is where you're going. How do you deal with the frustration of being where you are? All right, you've got to give me more than just that. Come on now. Let me just leave it there. Ooh, okay then. Surrender. Oof, when you're angry and you're feeling protective of yourself, that is not what you want to hear. But I will tell you that surrender in this instance doesn't mean what it sounds like it means. It's not a giving up of your power. It's understanding that, say, you're this big circle here. This is your awareness. Well, this circle here is a higher version of you, meaning, say it's like you from a year from now. Well, this you from a year from now knows a few things. And this, it's your highest timeline. It's the one that makes you the happiest, right? So you get a little bit of the connection with that, a little bit of overlap where you're still, this part of you. And you can exchange knowledge, ideas. This is kind of a little bit where of the higher self-concept, the intuition is. And it keeps going and going and going because that future you is connected to another future version of you who knows answers, and it just passes down the line. So it's a surrendering to something you're getting intuitively that is frustrating you. Like, yeah, you're going to need to look at those rapid waters. You're going to look at that anger and look at what's beneath it. You're going to need to observe that, accept that it's there, because if you're not accepting what is there, then you're in denial. And denial it's not good for you. And you deserve to be in a state of well-being. You're here, you're alive. even in that, there's the opportunity to be in a state of well-being. So maybe that intuitive knowing that you got to kind of jump in a little bit and look at what you don't necessarily want to look at will actually bring you here. There's so much wisdom in that statement. Can I have some supporting for this here, for these two? Just the validation, reaffirmation. Yeah, there's so much anxiety about this. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's normal. That's understandable. But what I'll also tell you is, there's one other card in this deck that looks remotely like that, and I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to show you. Yeah. Now, you have anxiety. You have little macaronis in you, right? Little macaronis. And it's telling you, oh, I don't want to change. I don't want to change. I don't know what's going to happen when I change. What happens if I make the square smaller and it fits? What happens if I own that, yeah, I'm not necessarily feeling very sold on this. But underneath it, yeah, there's a feeling there that's a little more deep, a little more vulnerable. And I feel that. In that moment, you gain a little more control because you're observing it. You're not going to be so caught up in it because you have taken the step to observe it, meaning by default, you're outside of it a little bit. Not separate, outside of it. You're above it, looking at it, studying it. So, these macaronis are happening because on the other side of this is your happiness. The sun, the most beautiful outcome you could possibly imagine is on the other side of this. It's making what frustrates you something that works because you make it work and you've changed it, you've altered it, you've worked with it. You've made this square smaller so it can fit by choice. So when you feel anxiety, especially in this dynamic, that tells you you're right where you're supposed to be. And I'm going to tell you why. Because on the other side is abundance. This is a masking here within you. This is a level of deception that has been programmed into a lot of us because we are so caught up in survival mode. Now, it's one thing to be in a victim mindhood. Next step is, the survival mindhood. Like, I've got to be surviving stuff because it's all I know. Like, I'm always surviving. I'm a survivor. And there is strength in that. But this is a point that you've reached and you're starting this journey, and that takes courage. And I commend you for that. That takes courage because you're moving from victim mindhood to survival mindhood, and the biggest hurdle at that point, once you've made yourself comfortable in survival mode, is to embrace that you can thrive now. You don't have to survive because you can observe what's going on, know that it's there, but it doesn't get to you because you're observing it. It's not controlling you. You're observing it. And through observing it, you pass judgment on it. And through passing judgment, being, I don't like how I'm feeling right now. That's passing judgment. We don't even think about having that thought. We just know we don't like how we feel. We don't specifically necessarily say it to ourselves in our head, let alone out loud. You are always passing judgment on your experience. It's part of being aware of self. So when you have this anxiety, that's the rapid waters not wanting to like they're pulling you under. And when you give in to that and you let the macaronis, I have this commercial in my head of, and I'm sure you guys could possibly relate to this, where the guy is on one end of the table and he's just sucking in the macaroni from the other side of the table. He's just inhaling it. Like, do you want that to be you? Or would, you like to take those macaronis of anxiety and not have them be shoved down your throat, and instead challenge yourself to be outside of the anxiety, the chaotic, rapid waters, and observe them and calm them. And yeah, the still waters are going to run deep. They are. You're going to have a past, but you're going to be in a space on the other side of this where you're going to be able to have a sense of thriving, actually thriving. And that's a new state for someone who's gone from victim mindhood to surviving mindhood. Now you're going into thriving, where you can embrace that there's happiness here, there's balance. Yeah, this chaos may happen around you, but it's not you. You can observe it and not become a part of it, not be sucked into it, not be at its whim. Yeah, I think that will conclude today's reading. So thank you very much. I am incredibly grateful to be a channel for this message for you guys. So the divine in me honors the divine in you. Namaste.